Welcome back, everybody, to Two Dudes Talking Motorcycles. My name is Gleb. You can follow me on social media at GlebLapham.
I am Mitch. You can follow me on Instagram at Meets to the Beach.
And you can follow the podcast on the podcast social media at tdtmotorcycles. And you can also send us your emails, questions, concerns, comments, or whatever other things you want to point out or let us know about at tdtmotorcycles@gmail.com. Today we are recording remotely because Mitch is a little sick and I didn't want to get sick, so we're trying to remote setup here today. And today we're going to be talking about
get you sick.
Yeah, I prefer not to be sick. And what we wanted to talk about today is starting off a beginner rider starting off on a bigger bike. And it's kind of like a bit of I wouldn't say controversial topic, but there's a bit of discourse. It can be a little bit of discourse. Like if you're a new rider, you should start on a smaller bike so you can kind of like learn and lean into it and kind of before and learn the basics of riding before moving on to a bigger bike. However, there are certain bikes that I feel like make it a little easier to learn into and kind of grow into versus outgrowing a smaller bike and then having to buy a bigger one.
Like me, which, yeah, that's exactly what happened to me. So.
Pretty much me too. I mean, I had my Honda 500 or CB500X as my first bike, and I had that for 2 years before I upgraded to the Tiger 900. And I mean, that was a significant jump in performance between the two because I mean that's such a more powerful bike, fully featured bike, and I feel pretty good with that. I don't feel like I really need that much more performance, especially not out of an adventure bike.
Yeah. You were way more patient than me, but also like the Scrambler came up, like there was just an opportunity thing. And it's like, I should get this now because I'm not going to, who knows, like when I get one for that price again. So
yeah, you got that for a pretty good deal. So that's going to be one of our little discussion topics today. But before we jump into it, we're going to talk about some news. And in today's news, we have a couple of bikes we're going to talk about. And the first one being the Triumph Trident 800, which we really recently just actually got to see in person over at Eurosports Utah down in Sandy. They had their Triumph Unleashed tour stop by there, and they basically revealed a few of the newer, I guess, models, I would say, but really color schemes on some of the Bonneville type bikes. There was like the Scrambler 900 with that really beautiful matte green paint job.
Yeah. Should we just start with that one then, or do we pick up on the?
I don't think we really need to go through the specs of all of them. Mainly the Trident is kind of like the big focal point. But yeah, the Scrambler, and then there was another Bonneville, which for new this year, it comes standard with like cruise control, which is kind of nice. And it's kind of like, was it like almost a baby blue, light blue color?
Yeah, it was like a sky baby blue with like some nice like whitish or off white, and then it looks great. It looks like a Bonneville.
Yeah. But it looks like a classic Bonneville. Still has the twin dials, which we're both really happy about.
Yeah, and I think we've mentioned it before about like the Bonneville updates in another episode, like just like the tech upgrades, like for the computer and stuff. So
yep, pretty much it. Yeah. And then they also revealed the Tracker 400 and the Thruxton 400, and those are based off of their like Baby 400 line, the Speed 400 or the Street 400, and the Scrambler 400. Powered by the same engine, maybe tuned a little bit different. The Tracker was kind of like...
It was interesting.
I felt like that one was a little odd. Yeah.
It was, but like honestly, like when I sat on it, it felt pretty good, like for the size of it and everything. Like it didn't feel as cramped as like the Speed 400.
It made me feel a little fat because I feel like with just me sitting on it, the suspension sagged so much.
Yeah, me too. It's got some soft.
I was like, whoa, this is very soft suspension.
Yeah. But it was cool because it has like that callback to like or it kind of mimics, I guess you could say, like flat track bikes.
Yeah, I
That's
was
like
thinking the same thing.
the look that they were going for. So,
Yeah,
but yeah,
I kind of got that feel from it, but I don't know. It looks okay. I like the color. The yellow on it that they showed off was pretty good looking. But overall, it doesn't feel too different than the Street Scrambler or the Street 400 to me.
yeah,
And I haven't got a. I don't know if I've got to sit on a Scrambler 400 or not.
yeah,
Uh, but I can't imagine it's too far off. And then there was the Thruxton 400, which, I don't know. It feels to me, it feels weird seeing the Thruxton name on a tiny little 400 liter or 400 cc bike. And I mean, it's got the cowl, it's got the cowl on it, but it kind of just, to me, it just looked like it was kind of like tacked on to that same frame that the Street 400 and the Tracker 400 and the Scrambler 400 has.
yeah.
And just kind of, it's just kind of there. But I don't know, it kind of makes me really wish that the Thruxton 1200 was still around with that. With the
Yeah.
cowl and those proper, like a proper high powered, fast bike.
Yeah, I don't know, um you mentioned it actually, just like how far it sits out from the
Mm-hmm.
tank to like the light and everything. Like it,
Yeah,
yeah,
it
I'm
just feels like it like jets out.
yeah. Excuse me. On that note though, I will say like it did still, even for like a small little 400, like it was a pretty aggressive like rider position too.
Yeah, yeah,
Um
it's still like pretty tucked in, not like sports bike tucked
no,
in, but
no, but you're still like leaned
um,
forward a bit on it, which
yeah, it does have like the clip-on handlebars, which I
yeah,
don't know on the 400 to me, I don't know if it really makes as much sense, especially like a
yeah.
400 like that versus like something like a Ninja 400 or one of those like
My
small
biggest
capacity
thing,
sports bikes.
yeah, my biggest thing that I didn't like about it though was like the cowl on it. It wasn't flush to the body like on like with Emerson
Yeah,
Struxton, you know, it was just I don't know, it just seemed a little off. I wish they'd kind of like rounded it out to like kind of tuck in and get more flush with the gas tank and everything on there. Probably would
I
have
agree on
sharpened it
that.
up a bit. So,
Yeah,
but
100%.
but
But
yeah,
you know, if you want like a sportier but also kind of classic-ish looking starter bike, I mean,
and they're cheap too.
there's the option for that there. Yeah,
Yeah, very
and they're
affordable.
pretty cheap. But then the cream of the crop, the crown of the event was the reveal or the in-person reveal of the Trident 400 or oh god, I keep messing up my
Let's
capacities
try
today.
an
The
800.
Trident 800, which is uh, an all new engine, they say, and it's a triple. It's an 800 triple, and it is kind of like the bigger version of the Trident
Yeah.
660.
Yeah, and
I believe it
it's
was.
like yeah,
Yeah,
they're saying it's the newer engine, which I guess it kind of still technically is, but it's the same engine that's on the Tiger Sport 800
yeah,
or or yeah, yeah.
and I will say that upon like seeing it in person, I was very impressed. I
Oh
think
yeah.
like I'm really curious, and hopefully we can see if the great folks over at Eurosport Utah will let us demo one when they get a demo in store because I really want to try it out. I really want to ride it. So for those that don't know, the Tiger 800 it does replace the Street Triple 765R. So that's basically the base trim of the Street Triple, and but however the Street Triple 765 RS, right? Yeah, I think
Yeah,
the
yeah.
RS
Yeah.
is still around, and that's kind of like even more high performance bike than the Trident, even though it has like a slightly smaller CC. But it's and I've ridden the Street Triple R before. I borrowed from our good friend Dave, and it was an older model. It was like I think it was a 20. I want to say it was like a 2018 or maybe 2023. I can't remember which
Some,
model he has.
yeah. I can't remember either,
Um,
but yeah.
but and I had a blast riding that bike. I thought it was a very fun, very high revving engine with a great exhaust note because it sounds like a straight up race car. And I had a blast riding it. So I was kind of bummed to see that they kind of discontinued. But I guess that's also one of their like lower selling models, and everybody just jumps into the RS trim instead, because that gives you even better brakes, better suspension, more riding modes. It's more performance focused machine. So I can kind of see why they dropped the Street Triple R, and then replaced it with the Trident 800. And you can kind of tell that the Trident 800 did not have like the same flourish, I guess, as the Street Triple RS.
Yeah, and I like we were talking before we started recording this episode. It was like I swear we mentioned this before. We couldn't quite recall, but it was we've made jokes even just to ourselves about like it's like getting rid of like the bug eye lights, and it's like, oh, it looks just like a motorcycle now.
Yeah.
But seeing it in person, oh man.
I personally love the bug eye lights. I kind of love how they just kind of hang over the wheel, kind of just like in their own little space. I think they look really cool, and they look really distinguished for like a Triumph. Like it's classic Triumph.
Yeah, for me, it took a minute for me to get to warm up to them, but then like, well, one riding Street Triple helped, and it's like, oh, it's actually really cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, but no, but seeing the Trident in person, it looks a much better in person than like the original, at least to me, like the way it originally looked like in the press release shots and stuff.
I do agree, and it had this gorgeous like had gold wheels and like the gold. Was it gold or black Showa shocks? I can't remember.
I think the shocks were black.
The shocks were black. But wheels
the rims,
yeah. The wheels were gold, and really I actually got a picture of it pulled up right here. Yeah, you're right. So gold wheels, black shocks, and I thought they looked. I thought, and it had this like nice, gorgeous red color paint, like on the tank and the fairings and stuff, which I feel like Triumph always nails their colors.
Yeah.
But like I really liked how it looked, especially with those colors. They contrast each other really well. They complement, like it just looks good. It pops. And I do like the single round headlight. And I remember mentioning, making the comment to you when we were seeing it in person. It has this kind of like small little cowl over the top of it.
Yeah.
And just kind of like covers the small TFT and kind of blends in with the light a little bit. But what I thought was, my immediate thought was like, if you were to take off that little plastic cowl and just leave the headlight kind of hanging there, it really looks like an older style Monster, like Ducati Monster, just that singular mono headlight hanging in the middle with kind of nothing around it. And I think that's actually a really cool look. And like I wouldn't be surprised if people find ways to like take that cowl off and kind of hide the TFT a little bit better, or maybe do something else with it to kind of give it that more retro look.
Yeah. No, I agree. And it yeah, it does look like a monster when the monsters looked good. But I didn't mind the cowl myself. Like I especially on the side profile.
I don't mind it.
Yeah. So
but I'm very curious to see what it would look without it.
Yeah. And the one that they showed us at this release was it was the one that was kitted all out. So it had like the frame sliders, all that stuff, and the I can't say it.
Akrapovich.
Yeah, that had that exhaust on there. It was a bummer that they couldn't fire it up. It wasn't like a working bike. Just
they didn't have it like initiated or set up or something yet. But like just going off the specs of it, I feel like this is a great like middle of the road bike, which I feel like actually works well with the topic of our episode of being like a, working into or starting off on a higher capacity bike. But it is a 798cc engine, triple engine. It's got the 6-speed transmission. It does have a quick shifter as well, both up and down, which I think is always really nice to have. Got the riding modes, your usual like road, sport, and rain riding modes, and comes with 113 horsepower and then 61.9 pound-feet of torque. Even has adjustable suspension, both front and back, with compression and rebound in the front, and then rebound and preload adjustment in the back.
Yeah.
So it is like a pretty well featured bike. I feel like it has a good set of specs, a good set of features, and like I wouldn't be surprised if it's a fun machine to ride.
Yeah, I mean, coming in at 437 or something like that pounds too, like wet weight.
Yeah,
Like, yeah, not bad.
not a crazy heavy machine, and
No.
the starting price is only $10,000, which I
Oh
feel like
yeah.
makes it
I
even. Go ahead.
I was just that I forgot about that, and it was like that's exciting. Like it's like a
Yeah,
really cool. It doesn't look like a $10,000 bike.
yeah, it
That's
looks
how I would
like
say it.
a $12,000 bike, or at least a little bit more expensive. But
Hmm.
it is a $10,000 bike. It has a 3.5-inch TFT in the front. It's kind of like the Triumph's like lower spec TFT. It's not the same one that you would find on the Tigers or the Speed Triple or even the Street Triple. It's kind of like the more of the basic version that they have, but
Yeah.
I mean, it's enough to show all the information that you need, and I'm kind of glad that it's dead center instead of being offset to the side somewhere like we've seen on the Speed Triples.
Hmm.
Sorry, not the
Yeah.
Speed Triples, the Speed Twins.
Right. Yeah. I got. Yeah. Um. Yeah. No. I honestly like really liked it a lot. I can't wait to demo it with if we ever get the chance. So.
I really hope we do get a
Um.
chance, and
Mhm.
I think it's going to be a kind of a um, fun addition to Triumph's lineup,
Yeah, and the
and
colors. I was playing around on the website earlier today on Triumph's website. Yeah, you can get it in like that nice deep red that you mentioned. You also can get it in like pitch black and then like a white with like red stripes on there too. So
yeah,
it's yeah. And if I remember right, the black one, if you go with black, it still has like those gold rims and it just looks cool. It looks really cool.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm very curious to see how this bike does. It'd be
Hmm.
awesome to check in the future to see how well it's like selling and how well it's doing. We can probably check with our friends over at the dealership for to see if they've been selling a lot of them.
Yeah.
Once it hits the stores, it should hit the stores. It says spring of 2026, so
Hmm.
probably next couple months here.
Soon we can
Um,
touch a real one.
yeah, and I'm really excited for it. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. And
Yeah.
then finally, for just one more new bike, and this was barely announced. I think it was yesterday, but it's that new Ducati Formula 73,
Yeah.
the
Ooh.
kind of like the limited edition. It's based on uh the Ducati, like their Scrambler platform, but it's got like a special fairing up in the front, clip-on handlebars, and this beautiful like greenish silverish color scheme, and it just looks like an old school retro bike. And when I saw it, I thought it was just one of those like resto mods somebody did, like took an older bike and made it brand new. But no, this is like a modern bike, and it looks
Hmm.
absolutely gorgeous. Uh, it also starts at $20,000, but pretty pricey bike for
Hmm. It's
basically
just,
smaller spec, or it's an 803cc bike,
yeah.
but it is a it's not as powerful as the Trident we just talked about. It's not as torquey as the Trident we just talked about. Um, and it's got more like basic suspension setup, but it's double the price. So it's like
Yeah.
it's one of those things where it's like, I mean, it looks gorgeous, but I don't know if it look like it's
Well, and I
worth like
think,
$20,000.
yeah. Well, this one too, like, and you just know how. Well, I'm learning how Ducati is like the stuff that just comes on the bike. Like, it's a lot of it is like some name brand stuff. I can see it has like the Apro exhaust.
Yeah,
You know,
Brembo brakes.
yeah. So like, who knows what else? But no, man, it is a gorgeous looking bike.
It looks absolutely phenomenal. If you're listening to this, go do yourself a favor and like look it up online,
Mhm.
because it looks absolutely stunning. Like
Yeah.
I love it. It looks like somebody took an old bike and literally just restored it. And
Yeah.
the colors are awesome. And I just love how it doesn't look like over the top. Like it
Yeah.
looks like a full on retro bike.
Yeah. It's yeah, like they're it's like their cafe racer looking bike, and it
Yeah.
is like based off like one of their models or their older like race bikes. I think it was their
Yeah. It's based off of the
750 Super Sport Desmo.
yep.
Yep,
Yep,
yeah,
that's the one.
yeah, there it is.
Which
So,
was unveiled in 1973. So
oh,
hence the
that's a
name of the bike
coincidence.
being Formula
Yeah,
73. Yeah.
yeah. So,
Um, I just think it looks phenomenal. I don't know if I would pay $20,000 for it, but if I saw one used for sale in the future for like under 10K, I would be lying if I said I wasn't tempted. I wouldn't be tempted to buy it.
mhm.
So,
Yeah,
um,
I wish it was
yeah,
cheaper. So, but yeah, no, those are
yeah, yeah,
pretty pretty heavy bike announcements like since our last episode.
yeah. And
So
I was like trying to see if we talked about the Trident 800, and it was initially announced back in October, and I was trying to look through our like past episode notes, and I was like, I swear we would have talked about this because it's a new bike from Triumph and we ride Triumph. So of course we would have talked about, but for some reason, I don't know if we did or not. Maybe I just can't remember it, but
yeah, I was gonna say if
like I
we
couldn't find
did,
it in the notes somewhere.
yeah, like if we did, it's probably like just in a very quick like news announcement that, but we didn't
Maybe,
like
yeah.
touch on it. Yeah, I don't know, but
But we've talked about it now, and we actually got to see it in person, which I feel like is even better than looking at it online. Um, but for now, let's move on to our main topic. And but before we do that, if you are shopping for some new motorcycle gear and gearing up for the latest motorcycle riding season with spring coming in, or if you live here in Utah, winter never really made its way here, so you might as well start riding early this year, most likely. Feel free to do gear up using our Revzilla affiliate link down in the description below. It doesn't cost you any money, but it does give us a little bit of a kickback for every purchase that you make. So help support the show and help support the podcast. Or if you're not planning on buying anything, feel free to send us some money for coffee at buymeacoffee.com/tdtmotorcycles to help out the show.
yeah. And I was like, virtually window shopping last night too. And there's like a bunch of like closeout sales like for the last season now. We're getting
I did
close to
notice
the new
that.
one. Yeah.
I almost bought myself a Revit jacket, one of their like overshirt jackets, because it was on sale.
Oh,
But
yeah.
I had to buy new snowboarding boots. So I was like, I don't want to spend the money, but it was very tempting. I'd be lying if I wasn't tempted to.
I know I wanted to get something, but I had to get tires. So
yeah,
that's
but
life.
anyways, so moving on to the main topic.
Yeah.
So big bike for a riding beginner. It's like I mentioned at the beginning, it is very common for someone to recommend that you get a small capacity bike if you're a beginner rider. And I generally agree with that consensus. I think, but I think it can kind of depend a lot on the person that's buying the bike. If you're some like younger kid, maybe a little bit more reckless and stuff, I feel like that's when you should probably stick to a lower or a smaller capacity bike, just so the bike doesn't quite get away from you.
Yeah.
Or if you're a new rider and if you're just kind of like, you pass the MSF, you think you like riding and you want to get into it more, but you're not quite ready to pull the plug on like a bigger bike because you just want to limit yourself, you want to take it slower. And I think there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And I think there's a very smart approach to motorcycling, is starting off small and then building it back up. The nice thing about smaller capacity bikes, I feel like, is that they are generally a lot cheaper. They are lighter, and there's plenty of used options you can find on the market, on like the used market, because people outgrow them and then they, resell them. And I think they're good to learn on because, mainly because of the price.
Yeah.
And the lower power is, I feel like it's very person dependent, because I feel like if you're smart, if you're a mature person, you probably can manage the power of the motorcycle much easier. You know your limits. You're not gonna, go out and buy a 1200 cc super sport and haul ass down the highway.
Go pick up a Super Duke for your first bike.
Yeah, exactly. Or just something crazy. But if you do, then hopefully you're, like, okay, I got this big bike, but I'm a new rider. I'm going to take it slow and kind of ease into it.
Yeah.
And even though, we've both been riding for almost 6 years now.
Yeah.
And
Crazy.
I know it's insane. And even then, like I remember like when I got on like the Panigale V2S or the Panigale V4S and riding that around, I'm just like, holy shit, this thing is insane.
Yeah. Well, like, so actually one thing that we both got to do over or since our last episode, we did actually get to go take our bikes out, I mean, separately, but
That's
I
true. Yeah,
what I did
did.
for part of my ride, I spent a good amount of time like in a parking lot just trying to practice slow speed stuff again to try and warm those
That's
skills
very
back
smart.
up.
I did not do that.
Oh, yeah. See, when like, but I was realizing, well, just was thinking about it because, we were going to be doing this episode, and I was like, boy,
Yeah,
it would be nice to be on like a lighter bike for this, like just to get that feel for it. And, it's just not as, um, what's the word? Like, it's not a big, heavy bike that I have to like balance and like move around, like it'd be nice to have
yeah,
a smaller bike, which I think is a lot. That's a good benefit for like new riders. If you do get a smaller bike,
100%.
it's going to be a lot easier to do that slow speed practice and like get you
Yeah,
into
I
it.
remember
But
like when I first got my Tiger and trying to like wheel that thing up and down my parents' driveway to like
mm,
park it in the garage. I was like, whoa, this thing is much heavier than the
yeah,
CB500X that I had before. I mean, not much heavier, but notice like I noticed the weight difference
yeah,
between the two, and
yeah,
uh, but yeah, like the smaller bike, like Mitch said, is much lighter and much easier to manage. So that could be a very big benefit to beginners. Um,
just starting out in a
and
parking lot.
just starting out in the parking lot, like you just finished your MSF, buy a smaller bike. But at the same time, also, like I said, people have various degrees of risks that they're willing to take. And
Right.
I will argue that, well, most likely I would most probably steer someone towards a smaller capacity bike as their first one. But if they have some kind of experience with, dirt bikes or riding or other kinds of like motorsport, or they're kind of just like you can tell that they're kind of a very mature individual
They're,
and they're most or less likely to be like super reckless. I feel
yeah,
like that's kind of like the kind of person that I could suggest, like, you could probably go with a higher capacity bike and kind of just ease your way into it. That way you're not immediately like outgrowing your smaller bike and wanting to buy a whole other
right.
one. And certain bikes, certain bigger bikes, they have, they're not like that much harder to ride than like a
No.
smaller capacity bike.
Well, especially once you get moving, like, physics is on your side at that point.
Yeah.
But it's, yeah, like I made my mention about like, for a beginner rider who's brand new to it, like, yeah, the smaller bike, like that would have been nice. That's going to be good for your parking lot stuff. But yeah, like you're saying, I think it really just depends like on the person if they're going to be, they can own it and say like, I'm not going to go do something stupid with this thing.
Yeah.
But
And I think
I
one of the big, oh,
before
go
I
ahead.
could I was gonna say before I could recommend like lighter or smaller bike. I've had people ask me, "Oh, what bike should I get?" And it's like, "Well, what do you want to do with it? Like, do you want to do adventure
Mhm.
tours? Do you want to do touring, or
Yeah.
like what do you want? Because um, like me starting out with it brand new, I got the Rebel 500 that I had for like less than a year. Because I outgrew it, but also because it's like I realized like, oh, I would like to do some more like longer distance stuff,
Yeah.
and all that. So it's yes, yes, a lighter bike is typically what I'd recommend, but yeah, if somebody wants, it's like, oh, I want to get into adventure riding. It's like, well, an adventure bike's going to be heavier than
Yeah.
most, so
And I think like knowing what I know now, if someone does want to get into like adventure riding, I would not tell them to get the CB500X because I feel like that's
mhm.
easily outgrown, especially if you want to be doing long rides on the highway without cruise control and with like our higher speed limits here in US at least. I feel like it was
Yeah.
a lot to keep up on the highway on that bike. Like when we did our
Mhm.
trip down to like southern Utah, I remember having to really like ping the throttle on that thing just to keep up on highway speeds, keep up with you on your scrambler. And
Yeah.
I was like, wow, this thing is it's maxed out. There's not much else to do, especially
Mhm.
like because I had luggage on it. I'm not a light person. Like there was a lot for that bike to do.
Yeah,
Uh,
and well, another thing with that too is like, what just to add to it, it's like if someone who it does want to do adventure bike, like I'm probably gonna recommend you a heavier bike because
Me too.
you probably don't want to outgrow it in less than a year or something,
Yeah,
yeah,
and honestly, with a bigger bike, cruising, cruising on the highway is such a better experience.
hmm yeah, for sure.
I guess I would first ask if they want to do primarily adventure off-road riding or adventure on-road riding, and then kind of go with the recommendations from there. Because if they're
hmm
primarily riding off-road, then it's like, oh, we got the Tenere 500. That's a pretty
700.
crowd favorite, 700cc bike. It's got very nice and I rode one, and
hmm
it's got good torque delivery. It's still peppy enough for off-road riding, but it doesn't feel like it can get away from you.
Yeah.
Um, or you can go big and go home and get the older used 1200 GS, and we've both ridden the GS, both the older 1250 model and then the new R1300 GS, and those bikes are stellar. They never feel like they have too much power, even though they're
Yeah.
pretty powerful bikes.
And I remember the first time we rode a GS, like that older one, the 1250 Adventure.
Yeah,
I remember I was nervous, because the only thing I'd ridden at that point was a Honda Rebel, and
yeah,
so I was nervous getting on something that big. But once you stand it up, like it's so well balanced,
it's
and
such
it's
a well balanced bike.
and then once you get moving, yeah, like you're not gonna feel that weight unless you're like trying to do like some more slow speed stuff and your balance is off, or
Yeah,
if you drop it, but
yeah, and
yeah.
but for things like that. But then, in the same adventure category, you have something like the Multistrada V4S,
Mm.
which I probably would not recommend to someone who's barely starting
No.
out because A, that's a very expensive bike, but two, it is a very fast bike. That is an
hmm
adventure bike that feels like you're riding a sports tour. I mean, it kind of is sort of in
It's
between, but
it's
uh,
insane, honestly. It's so
it
big.
feels more like a sports bike,
Yeah.
which makes it a little trickier. And like I said earlier, um, even though I feel like I have a decent amount of riding experience, getting on a bike that's significantly more powerful than mine, it does feel a little jarring at first when you're like, oh, I'm in first gear and I'm going 60 miles an hour already.
Yeah. No, for sure. And and like another thing you could do too, like, if someone is starting out, but it's like I want a bike that I'm not going to outgrow, you know, I did this with the Scrambler going from the 500 to the 1200. I left it in rain mode for a while, honestly, just to get used to
Yeah.
it. Because that'll just kind of like just dial everything back a little bit for you.
Yep. Dulls the
So,
throttle, increases the
mhm.
traction control, kind of makes it a little bit more manageable to ride.
Yeah. So it's yes, I'd say it depends. Like for adventure bikes, everything we just said, but like yeah,
Yeah.
if you're you want a cruiser, like cruisers are going to be kind of heavier, like for their
I feel like
size
even with a cruiser,
anyway.
you can totally go with a bigger bike. And I
Oh
probably would
yeah.
actually recommend going with even if it's like the Indian Scout or
hmm
the Bonneville, the Bobber, or the Speedmaster,
Yeah.
or even if you're into Harleys, and probably one of the Harleys, because they all have a very even and smooth power delivery. It doesn't feel like the engine's revving up like crazy, and all of a sudden
hmm
you're holding on to the handlebars.
Yeah.
And I was gonna say, if you want something more classic, the Bonneville, the
hmm
T120 Bonneville is probably one of the perfect bikes for that, because those Bonneville engines, they're fast, they're torquey, but their power delivery is so good
hmm
that it doesn't feel like they'll ever get away from you. Anytime I've ridden a Bonneville bike, or a bike with a
Yeah.
Bonneville engine, it just feels like it has this very even curve where
Yeah. But then you can still like
it just
once
feels
you're
good. You
yeah.
can really ride at whatever speed you want.
And like once you're comfortable and you want to go a little faster or push your skills a little bit, it can still do it. It's just not gonna like yeah, like you said,
Yeah,
it's not gonna send you to the moon or like have you hanging onto the tail. So
yeah,
um
exactly. And I think like a bike like that would be perfect for a beginner. Like one of my
mhm.
friends entertained the idea of getting a motorcycle, but he goes back and forth and being on the fence about it. And I was like, dude, if
Yeah.
you ever get one, you should get a Bonneville because this thing is nice and even and linear, and like it's a good bike to like
Hmm. I
uh
haven't.
ease
Oh,
yourself
sorry.
into motorcycling without it getting away from
Yeah,
you.
yeah. I haven't ridden myself like the Ducati Scramblers, like the little 800s they
I
have.
have not either.
But but there's those are also pretty approachable in price. That
Yeah.
I think that like yeah, if someone's a little bit more responsible with it and everything, like I think that would be a good size, that like one that you could grow into,
Mm-hmm.
um, without uh too much power. So, but
Yeah,
also one that
I agree.
yeah, yeah. So um yeah, it really just depends. I loved my little Rebel, but I'm not sure, like someone who's my size and age and it's like um not sure I'd recommend something like that, but maybe if it's like in a small, if you're in a city or something, because that's the other thing too.
Yeah,
Like, what are you going to be riding in? Like, do you want to be
that's a
hauling?
very good point.
Like, do you want to be hauling a giant GS or multistrada like through like a busy city street?
You don't. Even my scram or
Especially
even
a
my
new rider.
yeah, even my Tiger I feel like is a little too big riding through like downtown Salt Lake sometimes. I'm like, this thing is it's it's not a small bike. It's tall, it's a little bulky, especially if I have any kind of luggage on it and stuff. But then if when I like borrowed Dave's bike, his street triple, and then or
Mhm.
his uh was a street twin before that, I was like, wow, this thing is amazing in town. It's so like I can plant my feet fully on the ground. It's so lightweight. I can like I feel like I can just zip around different cars, and that goes back to what you mentioned about you know lighter bikes being or smaller engine bikes being lighter and kind of
Mhm.
easier to manage. But it also depends on really like the type of bike it is. I mean, we've ridden the Panigale, which is a very light bike with a whole
Ye-
lot of power,
Right. Yeah,
which makes it a
exactly.
little scary.
Yeah, very, very light, very easy to move around, but yeah, I wouldn't say that's a great bike
That is
for a
not a beginner
brand
bike,
new
no.
ride.
And then I guess like what's kind of sparked this discussion is, we always hear about people like, some kid buying a like a Ninja 1000 because they want to look cool, and then just completely like washing out, just pulling out of the dealer's parking lot, and that's kind of like what we hope any new rider avoids
Yeah.
happening to them. Like, I mean, it can happen to any rider, whether you're experienced or not. But I feel
Hmm.
like with more experience, you can easier manage those high-powered bikes,
Well,
and
and you
because
know your
you are,
limits too when you're,
and yeah,
yeah, yeah. Like
and I
a
feel like you're
new,
much more like in tune with just like the basic riding skills of how to maneuver in a parking lot, how to pull out of like a driveway, um, kind of doing all that stuff.
yeah,
By that point, you should already know those basic skills, and then uh, if you feel ready to get to a really high powered like sporty bike, then you won't feel like it's overwhelming and trying to get away from you.
yeah, and like especially for a new rider too, versus like someone who's been more experienced on like something, if they're on the same giant powerful bike or something, is like the experienced rider is gonna know like how far he needs in order to stop, right?
Yeah.
And especially when you're a new rider. I mean, I did it even on the 500. I still did it. Like I'd be going, not realizing how fast I was going, and
Oh
then
yeah.
I'd go to brake, and it's like, oh, I don't have enough stopping distance. I'm going too
Yeah.
fast, So
It
it's
takes yeah. But
um
I guess the nice benefit is if you're getting a much more powerful or expensive or much more powerful bike, then hopefully it does have much better brakes as well.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. But then also there's the braking technique. Like a new rider probably is going to just grab a fistful of brake and you know
yep.
put it down. So,
Yeah. So
but
I guess kind of like uh to wrap things up, I guess the real answer is that it really depends on you. It
mhm.
depends on the person that's buying the bike, what they want to do with the bike, where they want to ride, and how they want to ride it. Um, and like we mentioned, like if you're getting an adventure bike, I'll probably tell you like get something higher capacity. If you're getting a bike for just riding around town and cruising in the mountain roads, I probably will say like get a Bonneville
Yeah,
and just keep it if
Cruiser.
you're only getting one bike.
Yeah.
But if you're really big, if you're like fully a beginner, if you're just starting out, you've never ridden a motorcycle before, you're feeling a little doubtful, you don't know if you're gonna fully get into it, if you're you don't know if it's gonna be something that you're gonna do long term, or if you feel like you're more of a reckless person, if you feel like you wouldn't be able to handle that much speed, which I feel like for some people is probably like not an easy thing to admit.
I've had
Because
so many people tell me who
egos.
like, yeah, well, I've had so many people who are like into cars and stuff, and they go fast. They drive like crazy in their car. There's like, oh, I couldn't get on a motorcycle, like, because I just like to go fast.
Oh
It's
my
like
god,
so,
it's one of my
someone like
biggest
that.
pet peeves to hear.
Yeah, like, and like whether that's ego or whatever it is, it's just like
Yeah,
regardless, it's like, well, like if you really wanted to ride, but you're that kind of a person, if you're really
then
chasing the
probably don't
adrenaline,
ride.
well, that or get a small bike and then go have your first
Hmm.
scary close call, and that'll probably calm you down a bit.
Yeah, it's
So,
honestly one of my biggest pet peeves hearing that is because I'm
mhm,
like, especially if it's like an adult person, they're like, oh, like you said, I could never get on the bike because I would just drive too fast and just be like
mhm.
super reckless with it. I'm just like, I don't know if I even want you driving a car making a comment like that, because something tells me you're probably not the best driver either.
Yeah. So,
And as like a fully grown adult, you should probably be able to control yourself to the matter
mhm.
of which you're not endangering yourself and others, especially if you're like on a moving vehicle. So
Yeah.
people like that probably just stay off a motorcycle and stick to riding in your or driving your car around. Um, but yeah, that is a very good point.
I
Is like,
yeah. I mean, I would say like because I do know somebody who, like it's like, oh, I'm not worried about it. They weren't taking like the risks that seriously, and they just like,
mhm,
and they're on a cruiser. It's not like they're going to be like breaking, any records on it, but it's a little
yeah,
750, but like, and they told me their first experience, like where they almost wiped out. They were going fast, and they went into a turn. Oh, you're a new rider. You don't really know how to turn that great, especially at
yep.
speed. And they
And
almost went off the road. Like,
I feel like
he
the
almost
big
went off
thing
the
you
road.
probably that's yeah.
And then
And
they told me,
see,
well, they
that's the
told
part
me
that's
too, is
scary.
like, yeah, well, and they told me after that too, they're like, it's like, yeah, that kind of like opened my eyes a bit. And like, yeah, that's what I was saying, so
I think the
um,
goal is to
so I think if you're that kind of person, get a smaller bike if you really want to try it. Um,
100%.
go
And I
get
think the
scared, and then
goal,
let's see how you do.
yep. I think the goal is to know about those things before they happen to you. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
so it's not
So,
an eye-opening experience mid-ride, close call, almost getting hurt or dying,
oh, I mean,
but more of like,
yeah, I would prefer that over telling them to go out and try something dumb first.
oh,
But but
100%.
people like
That
this
is true.
person, this person
People are
didn't
dumb.
listen to me before they got the bike. And, they
Yeah.
they had to go out and touch the hot stove them
Yeah.
first. So
But I also feel like one of the biggest things is like, I remember like me experiences this as a new rider, like first time on the highway, and you've ridden through Weber Canyon here in
mhm.
Ogden before, but it's a freeway, it's I-84, and it gets kind of twisty going through the canyon. And I remember like it wasn't really like a close call, but I noticed myself like at one point, this is back on my Honda, really like target fixating on the barricade of the road instead of looking through the churn like you're supposed to. And I feel
Yep.
like that's a very big thing for beginner riders, is they, especially if they're coming into a turn too fast or aren't slowing down enough, then instead
Mhm.
of, going through the whole motion of like, okay, let me drop some gears, like hit the brakes, slow down enough, look through the churn, they panic, they fix it in one specific point that's off the road or some kind of barrier, and then they
Yeah.
just lock up their brakes and don't churn,
Yep.
and then they end up sliding off the road or hitting something. And I think that's where um, a lot of like beginners,
Yeah.
but probably also like experienced riders can get away from themselves. And I think in
Mhm.
situations like that is when a smaller capacity bike probably makes a good bit of sense, because it kind of limits you to how fast you are going to be going, so you're not you know sliding off the
Yeah.
road or hitting a wall.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. That's really it too. Is yeah, because that new rider and they were on a 750 cruiser. So it's not like crazy fast,
Yeah.
but it's still a machine. It's still going faster than um,
Oh yeah,
what you
100%.
expect. And yeah, so for stuff like that, yeah, that's why you'd want to consider like a smaller bike. Um, Starting out with, but like again, if you're aware of the risks, you've taken the MSF, and you practice how to turn and stuff like that, it may not be that,
Yeah.
yeah, like you'll probably be fine.
And you
Oh,
trust yourself to know your limits, know know the type of person you are.
mhm.
Like trust yourself to not go too fast or right above your limits, and or try to um you know keep up with someone else who's a more experienced rider or a more reckless rider. And I feel like that's probably going to be my final point on this. And
Yeah,
is that if you are, especially I feel like you probably see this more in like younger people, is they get a motorcycle, they get in with some like motorcycle group, or we'll go to like a bike meetup or something like that, and they go on like a ride after, and then they realize that these people in front of them are either really reckless uh, or really good riders or a little bit of both, and they're hauling ass through the corners, they're like leaning their bike like crazy. And I feel like people sometimes get the feel the need that they need to like keep up with them, and
yeah,
or they're not as cool, or if they're gonna like lose the group and things like that. And I think any good group will make sure that the slowest rider doesn't get left behind, like
yeah.
significantly behind.
Or, and that's
Um,
something you can talk about before you guys, put your
yeah,
kickstands up is like, it's like, hey, like, we're going to go kind of fast. Like, we'll meet you at this next point.
yep,
The golden rule, ride your own ride.
yeah.
So,
And I feel like that's another like spot where a potential new rider can also like get hurt. But
yeah,
then if you have a smaller bike, I mean, not saying that a smaller bike will prevent all injuries, because it won't.
no.
You can still easily wreck on a smaller bike, and some smaller bikes are pretty damn fast. Um, there's like that saying, you probably heard it. It's like, it's fun to ride a smaller capacity bike fast versus a large capacity bike slow.
Yeah.
Um, and I think it's very true. Like I would
When I
never
think like,
buy, like I don't
oh,
think I would buy a Panigale V4S just to drive around to, or even like
no.
a Street Fighter or the Speed Triple 1200, because
Yeah.
those are very fast bikes, and I feel like unless you're going to a track, you're probably never going to use them to even half their capability.
Yeah. And
But you
for
get,
my, oh, sorry.
yeah, but then you get the Panigale V2 or the Street Fighter V2 or the Street Triple from Triumph, or those like smaller bikes. You can really ring them out and go fast even on a public road. So
hmm
I think there is some certain degree of what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of like leeway, and
Yeah.
also what kind of like small capacity bike that you get, because some small capacity bikes are still pretty high performing machines and can still get you into a lot of trouble.
Yeah. And
Um,
that's what I just wanted to clarify is like when I say small, I mean like small displacement, small output.
yep, yeah, that's what
So
I mean
like,
too.
yeah. So, but yeah, no, like you can, yeah, you can easily like break a speed limit still on like a 500
Oh
or a 300 and,
yeah, easily.
so yeah.
And but yeah, like Mitch said, like ride your own ride. If you are in the group, like a smaller bike will help you stay slower. But you should also never have to feel like you need to be keeping up with a group. And if they are doing some reckless shit, don't ride with that group. You're either going to get in trouble, or someone's going to get hurt, or you're going to get hurt. I just don't think it's worth it.
Yeah. Like you just got to judge who you're going to ride with. So,
Yeah.
but
I think that's pretty much all I
yeah,
had to say on this topic.
yeah. I mean, the discussion didn't really like come to like a definite answer, but yeah, it
The
just really
definite answer is
depends.
that it depends on you.
Yeah. And your bike,
It
what you want.
depends. Yep, it depends on you. Your trust in yourself and your trust in your capabilities, and your trust in that you will not be reckless with a higher capacity bike or a higher displacement bike. And if you are, then if you think you will be, then don't get the bigger bike. Get a smaller bike and start off with that.
Yeah.
That's pretty much my conclusion.
Just start telling everyone to go out and get a Goldwing for their first bike.
Honestly, it'll be the only bike you ever need unless you want to go off road or ride around town.
Yeah, it's
or have
such
something
a
light.
Beast. It's so big.
Yep. But God, I bet it would be very comfortable on the highway. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I was still pretty impressed when we rode that one. It's like it's a big heavy bike, but like it still has the power.
It's a phenomenal bike. It's dumb smooth.
Yeah.
I would not recommend it for beginner because
A,
it's very expensive, and B, it's very heavy. But if you want, you can find probably an older one, and it'd be kind of dope.
Yeah, but yeah, no, that's definitely a joke. No. So clearly you have to go out and get a Hayabusa for your first bike.
100%. That's the only first bike that's acceptable.
Yeah, so
don't do that. Don't do that. No. But anyways, I think we'll wrap it up.
Yeah.
Hopefully this was kind of like a good discussion. I felt like I kind of got a little bit all over the place there for a second, but hopefully it kind of gets the conversation rolling in your head, or if you have like friends or relatives or somebody that wants to get into motorcycling and they have this question for you, you can be like, it just kind of depends on what do you want to ride, how you want to ride, and the kind of bike that you want. And I think that can kind of help lead them to an answer into picking the right bike for them to start out on.
Yeah.
But anyways, thank you guys so much for listening. Sorry about the different format, but it's fine.
Hopefully you like it.
To put out an episode without without skipping a week. And luckily we were able to do it remotely as well. So thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Yep. See ya.